Good afternoon, everyone. It's an immense pleasure to welcome you all for today's webinar session on the topic Rise with SAP Digital Access Licensing. So I'm Mahesh and the host for today's webinar by Incresol. I will be assisting you in case you find any difficulties during the session. And also you can keep posting your queries in the chat, which will be discussed in the last 15 minutes of our Q&A session. So today we have Mr. Nalini Kumar, Director and CTO of our Incresol Software Services Private Limited. And in this webinar, the takeaways from the webinar are understanding the integration approaches, overview digital access licensing, sample use cases, and digital access measuring and metrics. So now I hand over the mic to Mr. Nalini Kumar to take this session forward. Mr. Nalini, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mahesh. Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Nalini Kumar, and I would like to take next 45 minutes or 40 to 45 minutes of your time to just walk you through that. What is the digital access? Why it is so predominantly in hot news in recent days? Okay, so I'll start. I hope you are able to see my screen. Okay, so I'm on my presentation screen. Mahesh, can you please acknowledge?
Yes, Nalini, we are able to see your screen.
Great, thank you. So the agenda for the today's webinar is like we'll see what is the meaning of ERP use and what the different access types are available. So that's a basic fundamental to understand before we get into the digital access concepts. And digital access licensing options, what are the options available from SAP side, and the decision tree, like whether you fall under the digital access licensing category or not under this category. That assessment, how you need to do it, that we can discuss as part of this using this decision tree approach. And indirect static read, it's the biggest confusing item. So I would like to spend a few minutes on this topic, so that what is the meaning of static read and whether it really requires a license and what all things comes under it. So I'll explain those topics, those pointers as part of this section. And how you measure your digital access. So what is the metric for it and how you will be charged and what are the basis for that one, that will be covered as part of it. And robotic process automation and digital access. Okay, there is a lot of misconception is there. So I would like to clear out that air here as part of this particular section. And digital access exceptions. Are there any exceptions that fall under digital access? So that points, there are 2 or 3 different exceptions we can comes under this particular category. So I'll explain those topics here. And Q&A. So last 15 minutes, we'll go through Q&A session. And meanwhile, if you have any questions at any given time, please feel free to drop your queries in the chat or in the Q&A section. Okay, so first let's start with the different ERP use. What is the meaning of ERP use, or what are the different access types? So the ERP use is nothing but you are doing anything with that ERP system, like SAP ERP system, like you are logging into SAP ERP or executing a program in a background manner or in a dialogue or the direct human-based access manner, or you are applying some software, it is calling and executing some programs, or you are fetching something and displaying somewhere. All this comes under the use criteria of SAP. Okay, that means any of these activities we are doing with the SAP software, that will be considered as you are using SAP, that comes under the licensing obligations. Okay, so there are different types of use cases of the access types comes under SAP access. So you already know that's a direct human access. That is nothing but you log in using your SAP GUI or SAP Fiori Launchpad or different ways of logging in dialogue. Your users can log into the system and perform their day-to-day activities. That comes under the direct human access category. Other category is the SAP application access. That is nothing but SAP also has, other than digital core or the ERP system, they have many other applications like Ariba, Concur, or SuccessFactors, or Fieldglass, or SAP CRM, SRM. Various systems are there. So all those comes under the SAP application access category. That means your users log into these, the users log into these any of these applications, and these applications internally communicating with your SAP system, core SAP system. So that type of access comes under the SAP application access criteria. And the third category is the indirect or digital access criteria. So the indirect or digital access is nothing but you are, it's like we are trying to connect to SAP using any RPA bot or any bot-based activity, or any IoT device or the edge computing device is trying to connect with SAP. Okay, because SAP has that API-based mechanism or the different options to directly communicate with it. Right. So nowadays, a lot of devices are predominantly in use. So as part of Industry 4.0, we are communicating with SAP. So those device communications, or you are using some CRM and that CRM is going to communicate with SAP, or you have some third-party applications or legacy applications or the homegrown applications you are using. They are trying to communicate with SAP, or custom front end. Like there are various solutions, okay, like mobile-based user UI for SAP, or third-party web interface for SAP, where the core engine is SAP backend, but your user interface will change from GUI to some other web interface or the mobile interfaces other than Fiori. So all those non-SAP front-end interfaces that are provided will also come under the indirect or digital access criteria or the category. And also you are developing something in the SAP cloud platform. Okay, there's a HANA cloud or the cloud platform. So you developed some application over there, or the UI5 application, or the Angular application, any application you have developed there. That application in turn is communicating with SAP Digital Core or the SAP regular backend system. That also comes under your indirect or digital access criteria. Okay, so these are the different, any access to SAP will be divided into one of these three categories. So we'll deep dive into these topics in the further coming slides. So there are some misconceptions in the licensing. So first we'll clear it out, and then we'll go to the further topics. Okay. So typical misconceptions are like, it's like my users are using it's in the only read-only mode, or write-only mode, or read-write mode. Okay. So like all those things, it's like one way or two way type of access to SAP. Those things, even though you are accessing SAP, that means that comes under either read mode, write mode, or display mode, any mode that will be comes under the licensing obligation only. That should be from as a named user, you need to do it. And synchronous or asynchronous criteria. Okay, so real time or batch transactions, like you are accessing SAP through some synchronous criteria like real time access, or a batch transactions, you are running some batch jobs or anything, that also comes under the proper SAP licensing criteria. So, and also you are accessing SAP through some intermediate systems. Okay, so like some intermediate systems are like what I can say is like you are trying to connect to SAP using some middleware. Okay, or some middleware like MuleSoft, or middleware like SAP PIPO. So any those type of systems if you are using, even that case also it will be considered as a proper licensing usage to be considered. And access through other technical interface like SAP has given, we discussed, right? So SAP has given the RFCs or the IDOCs or the BAPI or any type of web interface, web services, all these are given. So using any of these communication mechanisms we use, and we try to interact with the SAP to push the data or read the data, that also comes under the proper licensing obligations, whether it is in the only read only, or whether it is going to be a write only mode, or read write, or whatever the operations we are doing, but we are doing through any of these channels, that will be considered under the proper licensing mechanism. Access through a non-SAP application, suppose you are having a CRM like Salesforce or a Workday, or you are having some fluid UI or some sort of a custom front-end application is there, which in turn calls the SAP services in the backend, and processing happens within SAP. All those comes under the use criteria of SAP only, and you need to properly consider licensing applicability for these type of access as well. So in any of these cases, the access should be considered, or the licenses should be considered properly. All these cases comes under the licensing obligation only. So why there is a digital access concept arrived now? Okay, there is a stringent audit happening from SAP. So there are various cases happened. Okay, so in the year of 2015, 16, or at that time, there are massive cases happened in court cases happened in the UK and US region. Even in India, it's also happened. So it depends on this indirect access topics, because the lot of license violations were happened to SAP. So at that time, they evaluated and they fought those cases and they won the cases. And after that, they took a decision that, okay, there should be some simplified mechanism required for the indirect access. And those after that evaluation only, the digital access licensing concept arrived. So let's see what happened. So if we look at it in the 20th century, most of the access used to happen from the direct human access. Like users used to log into SAP GUI and they used to do their job. And limited indirect access through some legacy applications only, or some non-SAP customer front end. That's all. And limited SAP application, because SAP also don't have that so many applications at that time. So in the 21st century, what happened is like the usage of the SAP system limited in the login based access is reduced a lot, and the application based access like SAP Fiori, SAP Ariba, or SAP, and many solutions are there, right? So So there are so many solutions, small solutions got released by SAP, and the users started using them. Indirectly, they are hitting the SAP backend. So these criteria got also increased, and also a wide, it's like increase of the huge increase in the indirect access because of the technology revolution or the changes happened in the last 15-20 years. Okay, so because the IoT capabilities got increased, the network capabilities got increased, or the bots came into the picture, and also there are some good tools came out which are best for that use integrated with SAP. So considering various factors, the indirect use got increased. So considering this, the predominant increase in the indirect usage and the digital access usage, so SAP thought through and came up with the digital access licensing approach, or the new model of digital access licensing. Okay, before we enter the digital access licensing, just I would like to clear out some points related to what is the meaning of SAP application access. Okay, we saw direct human access, that is nothing but users logging in through the SAP GUI, okay, or the SAP front end. Whereas SAP application access is nothing but they are the applications of SAP family systems only and family products only, and they are integratable or the licensed to integrate with SAP core ERP systems. Okay, so if you buy the license of any of these things, like, so you are licensed to one of the SAP application like Ariba, and you have the access to that. So your users or your RPA bots or anything that can access those application, and using that particular license what you bought from that particular application like Ariba or SuccessFactors. And this application does not require, so in this type of access, this application is indirectly accessing the backend SAP ERP system. In this case, no additional license is required. Okay, in case you are licensed to this particular application, also you are licensed to the SAP backend or the SAP core ERP system, and this application has the license eligibility to communicate with ERP without any new licenses or additional licenses. So what is the meaning of SAP applications? It's a big conception, big confusion here. Okay, I would like to clear it out. So SAP applications are nothing but your business applications that are released by SAP, like Ariba, SuccessFactors, Concur, or various tools are there. Around 20-30 different type of products are there from SAP, right? So all those will be considered under the SAP applications, okay, which don't come under the SAP applications, even though they are from SAP family. For example, SAP Cloud Platform, that is a platform where you develop your apps. That won't come under the SAP application access criteria. Or you have some middleware tool from SAP, like SAP XI, PI, PO, or SAP CPI. Those type of tools you are using, that also won't come under SAP application criteria because they're not business tools. They're the technical tools, or a technical, it's like enable some sort of a technical capability in the environment than enabling a business-based access to the systems. So considering that any such systems, technical capable only systems, will not come under the SAP application access criteria. All those will go under the indirect access only. So in short, it's like many customers feel that they are using SAP PIPO, so they are entitled to use the indirect or digital access without any additional license, which is false. It's a wrong perception. Okay, so if you are using any such tools and you are creating the SAP transactions in SAP like sales orders or purchase orders, definitely you are questionable by SAP, and that will be an audit point. Okay, so that's the reason I would like to highlight in this slide. So how this model, what is the old model of licensing versus what is the new model of licensing? Okay, so if you look at the different licensing options, the direct human access is your user license, like worker license, professional user license, or the different user licenses are available in the SAP ECC, and different licensing structure in S/4HANA on-premise and different in the S/4HANA cloud. Okay, so all those user access licenses will come, named user access license will come under the direct human access. And SAP application access means all any SAP business applications or line of business extensions to digital core, all those come under this. So if you are entitled with that license, that will automatically cover your access to your ERP, no need of additional license. Whereas indirect or digital access license, so earlier days it used to be like, even though you are using some legacy application, the condition is that you should have the named user within SAP, the same named user to be used in the legacy application also. That means, suppose I am Nalini, I am logging into the application, legacy application A, using the same credentials of SAP, and the same credentials are used to connect to SAP. In that case, that is called, that approach is the allowed approach so far. And also SAP has a separate material code for the order license also, like your service orders or the sales orders, and it's like B2B, B2C order automation point of view. They released one licensing item called order license. If you are entitled with that one, that will cover the at least order transactions creation automations in the SAP system through RFC connectivity or API connectivity. But now all this licensing is changed. The indirect access licensing is changed to document-based licensing. This is effective from 1st of April 2018 onwards. Okay, so this is called a document license, like or outcome-based license we call it. So it's like the number of documents you are creating using the indirect or digital access, that will be counted under the document licensing criteria. Okay, so the measuring metric is a document here. It's not a user. Okay, so that's why we call it as a document license. So we'll see what is the document license in the next slide. Okay, you see that there are the 9 document types SAP has identified. They comes under the digital access criteria or indirect access criteria. Now, what are those 9 documents? Sales orders, or the any sales documents like sales orders, sales quotations, scheduling agreements, or the invoice documents, or purchase documents, or service or maintenance documents, manufacturing document. Like these are the different 9 types of documents SAP has identified. And if you are developing some application or integrating with some CRM or integrating with some HRMS, whatever the application you are using, if they are interacting with SAP and creating any of these documents, any one of these 9 documents, that will fall under the indirect digital access criteria. Okay, that's important thing. So, and also another important thing is that the measurement is based on the document count or the item count. 2 cases are here. So for example, if you take a sales document, the measuring will happen on the item level. That means if your sales order is having 50 line items, it will be counted as a 50 document count. If your sales order is having 10 line items, it will be counted as a 10 document count. If you created an invoice with 10 line items from a third-party application, then it will be counted as a 10 document count than a 1 document count. So like that, wherever you see the item level, that means the item count will be considered as a document count, not the header count. Okay. So same applicable with the financial documents or material documents, and quality and all this will be counted at the header level. And each document type, they have the weighted factor. That is will be a multiplier factor, we call it. So that means when you measure or count the number of documents you are creating through digital access, that will be counted using this multiplication. Suppose I have 10,000 sales order line items created, then it will be counted as 10,000 into 1 multiplied by 1 is nothing but 10,000 count. Whereas if I created some direct FI documents or financial documents through indirect access or from my mobile app or the legacy application, suppose I created 10,000, I created 1,000 financial documents. Then in that case, 1,000 into multiplied by 0.2, that is nothing but 200 count will be considered for this one. In case of financial or material documents, it will be multiplied by 0.2, whereas in all other cases, it is equivalent to the count 1 multiplied by 1. So the measurement will happen like the license calculation will happen like the total counts of each document type will measure with the multiplying factor, and then we'll sum all those things. That will give us the total digital access applicability, or the licensing measure will happen. So this will happen on annual basis. Okay. So this licensing will happen every calendar year basis, Jan to December basis, and you will buy a package of specific number of documents like 120,000 or the 200,000 type of document counts. So based on that, the measuring will happen, and periodically you can conduct your measuring, and you can see that where do you stand exactly. And if at all you are consuming full of that package, then you can go for the add-on purchase, add-on document packages you can purchase from SAP. So what is the advantage of this one? This is called outcome-based pricing, because in this approach, you are going to, it's like there is no need to worry about the number of applications that are connecting with your SAP system. And also you are not worried about the number of users that are accessing your SAP application. So that means there is no any assessment required on the users, applications, or the touch points. Simply, it will be measured based on the number of documents, like what are the result happened in your receiving system. So based on these 9 document types, the total value will be calculated. Okay. And also second thing, so you might get a question that what if I create once and after that I modify twice and after that I deleted once or I read 10 times. So how it will be counted? So ideally in the digital access licensing, okay, there won't be any charges for the read operation or the modification operation or the delete operation. Okay. So the cost is, that's what clearly highlighted here. The cost is for the creation only, but any subsequent actions on the document you have created through indirect access will be complimentary or free. There won't be any charge for that. And also there is a point like suppose you created a sale order and after that automatically it created the delivery and PGA and the invoicing, for example. In this case, am I going to be charged for invoice as well as sale order? No. If at all you use some automation mechanism, once first document is created, remaining everything happens automatically without any intervention or without any second attempt from the third-party system. In that case, it will be counted as the first document will only be counted and the subsequent documents will not be measured under the digital access licensing. Okay. So, and also, is there any bifurcation between each 9 document types? No, it's overall will be counted. So there is nothing like overall count is based on all documents based on the weighted factor we have saw that. Based on that, the capacity will be calculated. So you buy suppose 120,000 document count package you have bought. So it can be any distribution between these 9 document types. And SAP also having the tied based pricing, like it's more like a package, it's like different levels of packaging they have done. So more the volume we buy, the lesser the price we get. It's something like that. And also the customers are going to get a dashboard within SAP system, the same SAP system. So periodically you can start checking that what is the consumption and you can plan the further purchase of packages if at all required. Just to give you an idea how this measurement happens, so I don't spend much time, it's a bit technical. So it's like a sales document, it's like the item code is the 4031 and 32, something like this. And in case of line item count, how it will be measured? It's a table name, they will consider the VBAP table, it will be measured. In case of scheduling agreement, it will be measured from VBLB. Like this, every document types, they will measure the standard tables. And from these tables, they will assess that, okay, what is your real consumption in terms of the indirect access. Okay, so now I'll come to the decision tree. Okay, whether my company falls under the indirect access use or not, that's a big question, right? So to assess that, okay, so we need to go through a set of small questionnaire, I can say. So by going through that, we can come to a conclusion that whether we fall under the indirect access criteria or not. The first step is like whether you are using SAP ERP or not. Yes, you are using SAP ERP. Then in this case, is the access occurring only by the individuals, directly by individuals, like human login only or non-human login also happening? So in case of only human login, like named users or the applicable engine licenses are, it's like whatever the eligible human, it's like logins are there, then it's okay. Otherwise, any indirect access to core ERP is happening caused by other SAP applications like SAP Ariba, some sort of applications are there. So any indirect access is happening, then if it is an SAP application only, not any other manner, then it's okay. Then it will stop here. So if there is a mix of SAP applications or other ways also, then we'll go to the next question. Like, is the SAP direct indirect access covered by SAP specific engines? Okay. There are a few engines like SSOE or the POE type of engines. If you are accessing through that, they are licensed to access the SAP indirectly. No harm with that one, or no additional obligation is licensing obligation is there. In those cases, it's okay. But if you are falling under some more criteria, like still another way of indirect access is happening on SAP system, on your SAP system. Okay, limited to non-transactional data. Okay, so that means you are not performing any transaction creations in SAP, but you are doing the indirect access limited to non-transactional data in core SAP ERP. Okay, if it is yes, that means indirect access resulting in other than reading, creating, modifying transactional data, but you might be updating some G tables or you might be just reading the data. Those cases will come here. That won't be covered. That won't be measured under the digital access counts. Okay, those non-transactional data access will come under the out of this measuring meter. So the next one is like the static read. Okay, is the indirect access limited to the indirect static read? What is the meaning of a static read? Okay, I'll go to that and come back here. So the static read is nothing but you are accessing the SAP to read the data. Like suppose some of the users created the data in SAP and after that you are exporting the data to some non-SAP system as a file or some other mechanism. And after the SAP, the data is loaded to the third-party system, the users are accessing that data for further purpose. That is called a static indirect use. So it has some criteria. You need to understand that. Okay, it's like the data is created within SAP and the information is being exported from SAP to the legacy system. and it runs automatically on a scheduled basis. That means you are pushing the data from SAP to outside system on a periodic basis. And the use of such exported information, like whatever the information you are exporting out of SAP and load it to the legacy system, are getting used for only analysis or the analytical purpose. You are not performing any actions, and you are not pushing back anything to SAP for any updates. That means you are just taking the data out and you have done your job, but you are not bringing back to SAP. So in that case, that will be constant. If these three conditions are satisfied, then we can consider it as a static read. Okay. So I'll go back here. So in case of a static read, that's okay. Static read also won't comes under the indirect measurement, indirect access or the digital access measurement. Okay. If it's not a static read, that means you are performing if all these criteria are no, then only it will come under, like, still you are using your ERP system, okay, to create transactional data, okay, using any of these other approaches, like using your middleware like SAP PIPO or some other mechanisms, and it's creating through RFC users or the API users you are connecting, or technical users you are connecting to SAP system, creating all that stuff. All those cases will come under the digital access licensing criteria, and it's a questionable in the audit. These are some of the examples of indirect static read, but I will skip this. Anyhow, we'll share this presentation so that you can refer them later to give you more idea, like which case will come under the indirect static read, which case comes under the active case. Okay, so how we measure this digital access? Okay, so for the measurement point of view, what SAP has given is, like, they have given some built-in functionality within SAP ECC or SAP S/4HANA, both the cases they have given the functionality. Okay, so they are using the one technical identifier called SAP passport. Okay, this is a old approach only, SAP passport mechanism. So this SAP passport is considered as a technical identifier to distinguish if the document is created from a SAP family system or created by a non-SAP system. Okay, the sending application will be assessed using this SAP passport mechanism. Okay, and if at all the documents created in SAP using a non-SAP passport mechanism, okay, without any SAP passport identifier within it, that will be logged into the measurement tables by this particular digital access measurement tool within SAP system, and it will be made available for the audits in the future. Okay, what are the data? It's keep on logging the data getting created within SAP for these 9 document types that will be considered for the future audits. And before that, before going for this digital access licensing or the contract, how do I know that what is the volume of my documents, or how much amount, what is the size of package I should buy from SAP? For that purpose, SAP has given a free service from SAP Global Audit Team, or they have given a SAP notes also. So you can just run those notes. They will assess from the past year or the last few years data and give you the, it's like tentative numbers, so that you can take that as a base and you can start with some minimal package from SAP. Okay, so this estimation, these programs, there's nothing but above programs are the Fiori apps, we can say. These tools you can run, these programs you can run. Okay, so there it will highlight that what is the total amount of documents you need to consider for the licensing. And also these data, whatever is there, that won't be considered for any future audit, just for the estimation purpose, these particular programs will work. Okay. So these built-in reports or the programs are available in following versions of SAP, like S/4HANA 1808 and above, or 1809 and above, all are having inbuilt capability of this measurability. And ECC with specific support packs, and all EHP packs with specific support pack levels are having the inbuilt, these programs are available within your SAP system. Okay, so this one already we have discussed. Okay, I'll move on to the criteria is, like, if you want to go for the digital access journey, so there are different stages. Okay, first you need to identify the relevant system. Suppose you are using multiple SAP systems, so you need to understand what all the systems are the applications applicable for digital access. So you need to identify them. Then you need to implement the estimation notes that I mentioned there. So those estimation notes will generate the programs based on support packages. They might be available in build, or if not, you can apply those SAP notes to get those programs. Okay. After that, also identify the interfaces, like what all the outside systems are interacting with your SAP system, like legacy systems or the CRM or the bots or the IoT devices, whatever are there. whatever they are accessing your SAP system through interfaces, you need to identify them, then the associated technical users use it for that particular interfaces. So take the list of those, then run these estimation notes so that you will get the overall package size, how much of volume of digital access to be purchased. Once you come to that estimation, so the estimation program looks like this. Okay, these are the couple of SAP notes available based on the SAP version. Okay, so once you run this program, it will ask for what are the document types you want to consider in this assessment. For example, you are using only the sales order documents as a through interfaces, not any other. In this case, you can select only sales order. Or if you are using multiple sales order and purchase only, you are using remaining all happening within SAP without any indirect access. So select those documents only for assessment of estimation of the size. Okay, package size you want it. Then give the dates. Okay, from which date to which date you want to cover. For general, ideally it should be a calendar year. We should consider one calendar year. We should consider, and any specific technical users you should want to consider as part of this particular technical user or the background users, whatever there you want to consider as part of this analysis. Okay, so all the documents created with these usernames will be considered for the measurement, but not the measurement, for the estimation purpose. Okay, the outcome of the report looks like this. Okay, so there are around 443 financial document category documents are there, and 55 invoice documents, or the manufacturing documents are nothing created automatically, or the through indirect access. Like this, it is saying that overall is like 1067. So like this, total amount will come. Based on the total value, you can plan the next contract with SAP. Okay. So once you are assessed your system, and you are ready with the licensing action, so you took the licensing. So how the next step of measurement will happen? Okay. So that means you said that you have taken 100,000 package, 100,000 document code package from SAP, and now the next step is like on usage, how you can measure the license usage. So that part can be like this diagram depicts that part. Like you might be accessing through non-SAP systems, you might be accessing through SAP applications like Ariba, SuccessFactors, and all this stuff. Okay, or SAP CRM or any that such type of systems. Okay, within your landscape. So in case of non-SAP systems, I said that it will purely send the document only. In case of SAP systems, the passport will be added to the document. The document and a passport of the system. That is nothing but passport is nothing but identity of the system, saying that, okay, I am sending this particular document to you. So that will be the traceability of the sending system. And that also SAP family system. So with passport, it will come as an additional identifier. And once this document is reached here, and it is created in SAP ECC or the S4HANA, then there's a logging mechanism. First, it will identify if the passport is there, then it will be considered as a regular business transaction. If there is no passport, then it will consider as like a indirect access document. Then the logging, the program within SAP, the measurement program within SAP, log this document under the criteria of indirect access criteria. And the reports are provided so to see what is the usage of your documents. So quickly, next slides are highlighting the same. I'm just going, running those pointers. The passport is nothing but identity of the sending system. So that will be using that, using which the receiving system will identify who is sending this information. And this will be sent as an additional header field or some identity in the RFC or HTTP or API calls or the RFC calls. So this passport capability is already there in the from the quite some time. So in the SAP ABAP systems or the NetWeaver Java systems or the SAP Cloud Platform or the UI5 or HANA. So in many cases, this passport capability is available. So that passport is going to, if any of these type of family systems are going to communicate with the backend SAP ECC or S4HANA system, they will use the passport mechanism to make sure that they communicate their identity. So non-SAP system calls are delivered without any SAP passport information. So how the logging takes place? Okay, so just the measuring tool will, where any such communications are happening, the measuring tool will simply check if the passport is there, then it will simply create the data in the business tables of the particular RFC or the BAPI will execute and close. In case of no passport case, it will create the business data as well as it will create a log entry in the measurement log table. That means any indirect accesses are happening already in your system, all those are getting logged. And this data will be made available, this log table data will be made available for the audit purpose or reporting purpose. So the data looks like this. Okay. So the transaction is RSUVM underscore DAC is the T code. Okay. So this will be available in the specific support pack levels or the version levels I mentioned in the earlier slides, readily available. So if you run this report, it will show that how much of indirect access you are doing on your SAP system. Okay. You can see that the potential material documents are 934, the potential financial documents are 1434. So anytime if you run this report, that will highlight that how much of the transactions are getting created through indirect access out of these 9 document types. So the recent measurement will be displayed, and if you run again, that will override the old measurement and with the latest results. Okay, these are the minimum package levels of SAP basis in which this one is available. In case of SAP Cloud customers or the Rise with SAP customers, there is a Fiori app available through which you can see the usage of your digital access licenses. For example, you can see that the minimum package of 120,000 was taken as a base package, and on top of it, digital access additional document of 70,000 was taken. So 2 licenses were taken. So the overall 190,000 is the capable full entitlement. So out of which how much usage happened on which date and all date wise also you can see it. Okay, the Fiori app will give the detailed breakdown and everything. So this app you need to run periodically, either the previous one or this one you run periodically and assess that if you are crossing any usage is like entitled boundaries of digital access license. Okay, so now I'm coming to that's about so far we discussed about how the licensing happens and how the assessment will happen, and also how you can how you can assess the number of requirement of the digital access quantity. Okay, so now I'm going to the next step in terms of which all comes under digital access in terms of RPA or any exceptions are there in digital access. That point we're going to discuss in the next few slides. So RPA is a robotic process automation. It's very popular in the last 4 to 5 years. It's more to automate your repetitive jobs. Okay, whether it's an ERP or any application. So it mimics the user behavior and it will try to execute the same activity like macros. So if you are using SAP's proprietary tool called IRPA, Intelligent RPA, Robotic Process Automation Tool, that will come under the without any additional license, or it doesn't require any digital access license. But if you are using any other RPAs, like non-SAP RPAs like UiPath, Automation Anywhere, or Blue Prism, any such tools you are using, in that case, they comes under the digital access licensing criteria. Okay, like they will be treated as good as like any other non-SAP solution. That means they will fall under the category of indirect access or the digital access criteria. So for these type of cases, okay, so you use a technical user to connect to these systems. So those technical users to be declared in the systems table, and based on that user wise, the measurement will take in. SAP Passport tool will keep measure how many such documents are getting created through these technical users, and it will count under the digital access licensing. So RPA also, this is another misperception. People feel that RPA is not falling under the digital access or indirect access criteria. So that may also create an audit issue in the future if you don't look at it properly. So the exceptions, okay, what are the different exceptions available? Okay, let's see what cases don't fall under the digital access criteria. Okay, so there is an ABAP extension. Okay, so access through ABAP extension. What is an ABAP extension? A set of programs developed in ABAP and deployed in your SAP system as a namespace package. Okay, or a TR import. Okay, through either it can be in-house developer or a partner developer. Any such programs are deployed in extension in they're deployed in your core SAP system. Okay, so even though they are outside programs or outside extensions, but they will be treated as part of the digital core only, because they're the extension to the core digital core of SAP or the main core system of SAP. Okay, so for this type of any ABAP extensions, the transactions or the documents that they are creating will be considered as internal documents or internal calls, not the external calls. That means they will be treated as part of the regular SAP behavior only, because your named users will log in, they will use these extensions, they will create the transactions. So it's as good as like your G programs. Okay, So that doesn't require any additional digital access license, or digital access measurement won't happen on this type of transactions. Okay, so therefore this is considered as an instance of direct human access, because your named users will log in and they use these above extensions and run their programs, and they are deployed within your SAP system. Okay, the next case is like the client app. That is nothing but you have some application or a user interface like SAP Fiori, you can say, alternative to SAP Fiori. Okay, so there is an app or the interface available, but you are logging into that app using your SAP user only. That means you are not using any other user. You are using your SAP user only. Using the same user credentials, your SAP is getting authenticated. That means this app is communicating with SAP using your named user only. That means the Catherine is a user. Catherine is logging into some mobile app, and that mobile app, is using her SAP credentials only. She is logging to that app, and same credentials are getting used to communicate with SAP. In this case also, no need of additional license. Okay, because we are not violating any user count or user licenses. But in case if the Catherine is connecting to the system, but this client app is communicating with the digital core using an technical user, like, or a service user, in that case it will come under the violation. As long as the same user mapping is there in the app versus SAP, then in that case no issue, and it will be an exceptional case. There it won't come under the digital access criteria. Okay, and I'm going to the next case. This case is like you are getting data coming from your non-SAP system, and you are loading that data to your SAP system. Okay, that means either you are pulling directly from SAP, or that non-SAP system is pushing the data to your SAP system. Okay, so here in this case, this also comes under the non-digital access exception, because your named user, the Catherine user, whoever is logging into the system, using that user's username in the dialog mode or in the background mode. Okay, there's a job schedule which will keep digest this data and load this data to SAP system. So in this case, as long as the named user is you are using to read the data from external sources and load it into your SAP system, that also will be exempted from the digital access criteria. But using your SAP bulk upload programs or the functions that are standardly available. Okay, so these are the three exceptional cases that you can consider when you go for the digital access assessment or digital access point of view evaluation, whether it's applicable to you or not. And also when you're designing your application, so you need to consider these exceptional scenarios so that you can design in a better way your programs or the applications which can avoid the digital access or the indirect access licensing aspects, and you can go with the existing named users or the existing licensing mechanism only. Okay, so this slide is just highlighting few of the helpful links you can explore further. Okay, post to this webinar, we'll share this presentation, and you can access this information from there. Okay, some use case scenarios, and how the metrics and descriptions, how these technical tables, which tables will be considered for this measurements and all. And also we are providing some SAP notes. Okay, so these are helpful for you to quickly to assess yourself in terms of digital access licensing journey. Okay, so that's all from my side for now. So I'm opening for the Q&A session, and please feel free to raise your queries in the Q&A section or the chat section. And Mahesh, over to you to share the questions that you received.
Sure, Andy. Thank you.
So we have upcoming webinars. I think this has some wrong information, Mahesh. Okay, but we have next Wednesday we are discussing about the compatibility packs or the sidecar approach mechanisms. How you can plan if you are using specific SAP functionality which is not available in S/4HANA. What is the future of it? There's a one webinar is in the coming week, and after that we are switching to the BTP based webinars. Okay, so we'll give you the overview like how the BTP is going to take the dominant role in terms of your technology aspects, okay, in going forward, because Rise with SAP is more on the clean core approach. Okay, the clean core approach, if you want to adopt, the BTP is the best way to reach that goal, the clean core goal. So we'll explain that what are the different tools available in BTP, which tool will be useful, how are the enhancements can be done. Those aspects we are covering in the upcoming webinars. So yeah, that's all from my side. Please, Mahesh, please go ahead. So I can see one question here in the Q&A. It's asking like, okay, so the question is saying that, asking that, okay, just a minute, I'm trying to read it. Yeah. So the question is like, I'm using SAP PIPO. Still, why do I come under the category of digital access? Okay, so the PIPO, the court cases I explained, right? The cases are related to Workday or the Salesforce, okay, related access to SAP that are happened, and SAP won those cases. Okay, so whether we use PIPO or not doesn't make any difference to the digital access criteria. And because the PIPO, they are projecting as a technology tool, just as a middleware tool, okay, that will enable a provision of it's like segregating all your interfaces and maintaining and monitoring aspects will be covered. That doesn't mean that it will cover the indirect access licenses. So that tool is just a gatekeeper tool for you to reach SAP. That's all. Not in terms of any specific licensing, digital access licensing aspects. So considering that even though you are using PIPO to connect to your SAP ERP system, and if you are automatically creating your sales orders or anything, then that will come under the category of digital access. Please be careful.
Nalli, we have a question here.
Please.
The question is this license applicable with IoT devices?
Yes, even IoT devices fall under the indirect access only. Okay, even though you integrate through SAP MII, even then that will fall under the criteria of digital access.
Okay. There's another question. Can you explain about SAP user licenses?
Okay, so that's a big topic we covered in the earlier webinars. Okay, so SAP user licenses, it depends on the system to system. They are varying, like the version of SAP. Like for example, SAP ECC has a different user licenses, right? Your professional user, worker user, project user, employee user, like that. There are around 10-15 types of user licenses are there in ECC. Whereas coming to S4 HANA, they converted to 3 or 4 category of users. I think professional user and I think the 3 or 4 different names they have given. Okay, coming to S4HANA Cloud, they again further reduce it to the FUE concept. Okay, full usage equivalents. So that means your metric will be FUE, but the user types are like 3 or 4 user types are there, like advanced user, core user, self-service user. Okay, I think three criteria, 3 types of users are there in the developer user, for example. Okay, so there are 4 types of users in S4HANA Cloud. So they will be internally calculated as a FUE metrics by weighted factors that are SAP has published against them. Okay, so these are the different user types available, and you need to purchase your user licenses accordingly. Hope I answered the query. And Mahesh, you can share that PPT of the user licenses we shared in the third webinar of this Rise with SAP series. That would clarify the query in more detailed manner.
Sure, we will do it. And there's another question. Is that SAP would be stopping offering PIPO license with this new licensing model?
Not actually. Okay, but PIPO is in a fade out mode, I can say. Okay, because after Rise with SAP, because PIPO is almost in the fade out mode. SAP is no more selling the on-prem licenses. Okay, SAP is selling only it's like, in short, they're not selling the perpetual licenses. Okay, they are started selling only the cloud licenses or the subscription licenses. Okay, that is called Rise with SAP. So if you go to the Rise with SAP oriented approach, like private cloud or the public cloud, the mechanism is to reach these systems is only through the BTP based tools. So the alternative to SAP PIPO is like SAP CPI. We already who are having SAP PIPO license, that is going to be continued. But for all new customers, they are preferring to go for the SAP CPI, Cloud Platform Integrator. That's alternative to PIPO, and it's part of the BTP package or BTP integration suite package, we can say. Even though if you communicate through SAP CPA, that will come under the digital access criteria if you are not using any SAP application and you are using any legacy or other outside CRMs or the applications.
Oh, there's another question only. Can we buy additional SAP user license for SAP S/4HANA 1610, 1610?
I think 1610 support is ended. Okay. But I think they extended the support. So I think better account manager can answer it better, but I think you can buy. Okay. But there are some limitations. They are forcing the customers to go for the Rise or convert to the Rise, considering that they are almost in the end of support product, right? 1610, I think, ended 5 years is the maintenance cycle. And 2 years, I think they extended. So I think 2023 is the end of support for that one, even extended support for 1610. So you need to deal with accounting, your account manager to get the additional licenses, or you need to plan for the upgrade.
There's another question only. What measures are implemented to safeguard sensitive data when accessed through client-side applications?
Can you please come again, Mahesh?
What measures are implemented to safeguard sensitive data when accessed through client-side applications?
Okay, that comes part of your application architecture. Okay, it's not much to do with the licensing mechanism. Okay, but I can answer your query. So it's like if you want to access your sensitive data from the client-side applications, there are various secure mechanisms. One non-repudiation mechanisms you can enable. That means the right information only coming to you. That's like you use the digital sign approaches. You can use it. Any payload you are replying back from SAP to the calling system, now the client app, that can be digitally signed. Second one is all the communication should happen through the secured protocols like SSL or these TLS protocol. You should use it so that the tunnel cannot be broken and someone can't come and get in and steal during the transition layer or the communication layer level. Okay. And also third further security levels, if you want to go further, okay, for example, if the client app is accessing your SAP system, okay, through a batch, the file exchange mechanism, in those cases, we strongly recommend that encrypt your data. The data encryption is like you can use AES mechanism or AES based algorithms, where is a symmetric key mechanism. So whenever SAP is pushing or giving the reply is a file or a payload in JSON format or XML format or the web service calls also. So the data can be encrypted, okay, in the using AES 256 or whatever the algorithms available using the key, and the receiving system can decrypt the data and then verify the sign, then consume it. That way, you can ensure that whatever is sent by the sender is received by the receiver and also consumed in a proper way. The digital sign works as a non-repudiation. The encryption works as a security mechanism. Okay, there are the 4 or 5 different things you need to do it. Hope I answered your query.
There's another question only.
Yeah, please.
Participant says, actually, I have heard that SAP on-premises user license cannot sell by SAP. Only cloud SAP user license can buy right now. SAP S/4HANA 2020, please explain.
In a way, it's true. SAP shifted their gear to the cloud. Okay, so they want all their customers to be on cloud. Okay, so there's a future vision or the goal, we can say. Okay, so but still, it's like it depends on your negotiation capabilities with your account manager, because it's not that easy to overnight shift your on-prem environment to the cloud, right? There can be a lot of hurdles or the bottlenecks or the financial constraints. So you better explain these things to your account manager. They will come up with their better options, because I saw this type of things happening. but it varies from case to case. But you need to represent your case better with your account manager with all your limitations, so they will help you out. Definitely, you will get your user licenses for on-prem as well. But the long-term goal is like eventually everyone need to move to cloud.
So the client says like, in the other words, digital access license would eliminate the use of PIPO license.
It's like there are two different topics, Mahesh, here. Okay, PIPO is a different topic and digital access is a different topic. So there is no link between these two, in short. Okay, the PIPO is a middleware. There is a tool by SAP for the middleware purpose, like Oracle ESB, Enterprise EBS, Enterprise ESB only, Enterprise Service Bus, or MuleSoft for Salesforce, or SAP has a PIPO as a process integrator. That tool is to use the job of integration activities only. That is nothing but a technology tool which will help you to connect with many systems as a gatekeeper, receive the messages and pass the messages, transform the messages, and pass to the target systems or the systems and monitor them or meter them. So that is only the job of PIPO. That doesn't do anything with the digital access. Even though you have PIPO or don't have PIPO, digital access will be there. Okay. So the PIPO leverages your integration capabilities than user licensing capabilities. Okay. So even though you use digital access, the PIPO is advisable in a best practice manner, because without middleware, you are connecting with 10-20 systems. It's like a point-to-point connectivity, right? So you are connecting with 20 different point-to-point connectivity systems. It will be hard to manage and hard to monitor where exactly which one is failing or what type of messages are getting exchanged. All those monitoring will be difficult. That will be eased by this PIPO or the CPI type of tools. These middlewares are meant for that. Okay. So nothing to do with the digital access. Even though if you go with the digital access, no digital access, PIPO is a middleware as a best practice recommended, or SAP CPI, or your choice of middleware. Any middleware you can use.
Nalini, we have one more question. So
Yeah, please.
it is like SAP S4 HANA cloud data and services through a non-SAP front end. Will this be supported with the same licenses pack, or do we need to go for any other options?
Can you please come again, read again, Hassan? I missed a few points.
It is like SAP S4 HANA cloud data.
Okay.
And services through a non-SAP front end. This is the question. So for that, the customer, the person has asked, like, will this be supported with the same digital access license packages, or do we have any separate licenses that needs to be procured?
No, this digital access license, it supports that. That's enough. That's the only licensing mechanism available. So you can build your own front end, or you can bring your SAP to Salesforce front end, for example. So all the pricing, everything will be pulled from SAP, and you have all operations happen on Salesforce. So all those cases can be handled. That part that will come under the digital access criteria only. No need of any additional licenses required. But you need to buy the number of packages accordingly. Like based on the document volume, you need to buy that document package of digital access license.
Okay. And please, one more question is like, please explain one support launchpad ID for support portal.
I didn't get you, Hassan. I think
no. The statement is, please explain one support launchpad ID for support portal. Even I am unsure about the clarity on that particular question. So if you can able to please reframe the question, it will be helpful for us to answer it across.
That's better, because the question don't have a clarity in it. Yeah.
Agreed with you. If anybody else having any questions, we have 1 more minute for the session. Please, you can post your queries and we will be able to answer it. SAP One Support Launchpad ID. This is what he's trying to say, Nalini, here.
Yeah, SAP One Support Launchpad ID is like if you are an SAP customer, you will get this Launchpad ID. Okay, so we are not the providers of Launchpad, because only SAP customers or the partners can get this ID. So that ID is meant to access your SAP licenses and to access any of the SAP nodes. And third one is like to take any SAP support. Okay. So it's not possible for us to share any IDs from outside. If I understand correctly your query, if you are expecting any SAP S user to be shared by us, it's not possible. So I think I can see one more question, I think, Hassan. If you are using any non-SAP business analytics tool, will it attract digital access license?
Yes.
Okay. So it's like, I can say that no, not required. It will come under the static data read. Okay. So without any digital, without any additional license, you can start using it. But preferable approach is try to push the data using a file-based mechanism. Like periodically or the scheduled manner, you can generate the export files of your data that is to be fed to your analytical tool like Tableau, Power BI, or any of these, Quick Click or anything like that. Okay, so in that case, you can avoid the digital access license.
One more question we have. So
Yeah, please.
currently we have one ID. Can we use it for more than one support launchpad ID?
Just a minute, I'm checking the question from my side also. Currently, we have one ID. Can we use it for more than one support launchpad ID?
Then
Can we create another? Yeah, it's like yeah, I understood the question now. Okay, so if you have one ID and if you have the admin rights, you can create n number of support S users. No problem with that. There is no any metering for that one from SAP, as per my knowledge. Okay, so as far as what I saw or what we saw in our case, so there is no any separate charges for that. If you create 5 users, no charge, or if you create 1 user, no difference. You can create additional users. But better you can also get it confirmed with your account manager once. But this is as per my knowledge.
Okay, so Nalini, I believe we have surpassed the timing frame of 2 minutes, and I
Okay.
think we can go for queries. Any other queries we can ask the customer to share us with over the email, so that at least we can go for one-on-one call, or like we can able to answer it over the email itself.
Sure. Yeah, that's better because we already crossed the time. So already my email ID is mentioned here. It's a kumar.n@incresol.com, or you can send on sales@incresol.com with any of your queries. So we are more than happy to assist you over the call or over email. Okay, and we'd like to see you as well in our future webinars. Hope you enjoyed the session, and thank you very much for your time, and hope you got some good takeaway in this today's session. See you in the future webinars. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Thanks everyone. Thanks Nalini for your time. Have a wonderful evening. Bye bye.